How many types of self explained by Rogers?
One is
Tell
the
me.
ideal self, the other one is the real.
Real self as well as ideal self are there. There is a gap between ideal self and real self. That creates incongruency.
Which is the reason for psycho.
Right. And next, Priyansi will tell. You will tell basically the concept of phenomenology.
So, phenomenology basically.
Hmm. Phenomenology. Next question.
Sir, incongruency का जो
No. You will tell us is what is phenomenology?
हाँ सर याद आता है जैसे यूनिकनेस जो होता है उसको phenomenology का concept होता है.
Phenomenology means the uniqueness of an individuals. So that is phenomenology. And our next question, Swati, from you, that how many types of self-explained by the self-psychologist?
Sir, from psychologist, Maslow.
Self-psychologist.
Self-psychologist. So there are two psychologists. Those are Berger, that is Roger and Maslow.
Recently, I have explained two types of self.
Yes.
One is interpersonal self and other is independent self. So what is basic difference between independent self and interdependent self?
One is personal self and second is social self.
So, anyone, right? Palak, you will tell.
Sir, independent is when you try to do everything on your own. अपने आप से जब सब कुछ करना है. Then you're not dependent on family parents. तो मैं इसको डेप्थ में बताऊँ.
और बताओ.
इसमें जब we have everyone but in distance and then we try to do ourselves is independent. And interdependent is कि we have people who surrounds us but they are not distance with us. तो हमारे distance में नहीं है. They are close to us and we are dependent on them.
Okay, next is next question from Aziz. You will tell any two works of Roser. Any two works of Roser. What are the two major works of Rosers?
Rosers tell about self, and self is divided in two parts: ideal self and real self.
And how many needs has been explained by Rogers? And I want to take a very small test of you. Very small test. Question is that, question is, mention the fundamental doctrine of humanistic psychology. Fundamental doctrines of humanistic psychology. As you are watching the hand notes, right? There is clearly mentioned the fundamental doctrines of the humanistic psychologist. So read the first doctrine. What is given? Humanistic psychologists lay emphasis on the present situation as an alternative of probing the past or make an effort to envisage the future. Someone's present functioning for them is the most important aspect. So this is the first doctrine. Very interesting. Second, according to humanistic psychologists, one must take personal responsibility for their action. Second doctrine is what? One must take personal responsibility for their action. irrespective of its consequences. It means हमें अपनी जिम्मेदारियां लेनी चाहिए. किस चीज की जिम्मेदारी? अपने एक्शन की जिम्मेदारी. हमने जो कुछ भी किया, अच्छा बुरा, I am responsible for that. Whether the actions are positive or negative. To be psychologically healthy means whatever happening in your life, what actions, जो कुछ भी आपके साथ हुआ है, उसके लिए कहीं ना कहीं आप जिम्मेदार. और जो कुछ भी हुआ है, that you are basically, you can control them, you can manage them, and in every events are basically associated with some reason. तो सपोज आप एक दिन भूखे रह गए, हो सकता है प्रकृति इसके भी पीछे कोई रीजन होगा, तो इसको पॉजिटिव वे में लेना चाहिए. हो सकता है कोई फ्रेंड आपको 10 रुपए चीट करके भाग गया हो, तो पॉजिटिव वे में कैसे ले सकते हो? दैट मे गिव यू थाउजेंड्स रुपीज लर्निंग. 10 रुपए लेके चला गया, लेकिन उससे आपको 1 लाख 1,000 की लर्निंग आ सकती है. So we should take everything positively. Getting? So this was the important concept of humanism, second important concept. And third is humanistic psychology view each individual to be inherent worthy. कितना इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट. It everyone have worthy. हर किसी की एक वैल्यू है, कीमत है. And even though the given actions they performs might be destructive, and these actions do not dismiss out the worth of an individual. तो हर किसी का वर्थ है. हो सकता है आप कोई डिस्ट्रक्टिव वर्क्स कर भी दिए, तो इससे आपकी वैल्यू कम नहीं होगी. वो आप में कहीं हो सकता है कि वो ईश्वर ने, परमात्मा ने या गॉड ने इसी के लिए आपको डिजाइन कर रखा हो. So basically humanistic psychology says that every action, every individual have their worth. What duty has been assigned by the gods or the nature that we should follow. We do not we whether think about is positive or negatives. We only performs our duty what is assigned by the God, what is assigned by natures. We performs only that duties. Next is this perspective feels that major goal of an individual's to accomplish understanding and personal growth. Only through the persistent self-understanding and improvement one can become truly content and happy. Interesting point. The major goal of an individual is to understand yourself. What is here? The major goal of an individual should what? Understand yourself. खुद को समझो. And focus on your personal growth. Because by the understanding of yourself and doing of personal growth, you can be happy. You will be happy. So 2 important ideas given by first is understandings of your worth and personal growth. These 2 are there. Ready? So अब इसमें पहले वाले में सबसे बड़ा कीवर्ड्स क्या है? Present situation is an alternative of proving the past and making an effort to do it. यानी present situation means आज जो कुछ भी हो, ये आपकी पास्ट की वजह से हो. And present is a situation where you can connect your future. You cannot make any changes in your past because it has been done. And right now, what is here? It is your present. If you will bring certain changes in present, that will give you fruits in your future. So the major focus of your life is to work in present, to change something in present. जो बीत गई सो बात गई, जो बीत गई सो बात गई, जो टूट गया सो टूट गया, जो बीत गया सो बीत गया, हो गया. That is past. जीवन में एक प्याला था बहुत ही. It's a line of Arvind Rai Bachchan, but it is too much deflated form. Right? The correct version of Arvind Rai Bachchan's line is very good. Even you can read here.
Sanskrit, Gatam Gataha.
What is it?
Gatam Gataha.
It is unable to understand.
Gatam Gataha.
Meaning.
Past is over.
Past is over.
Sanskrit.
Sanskrit. Okay, got. Very nice. Very nice. I got your point. So, other is here. Other is here. So, first point clear. Present situation. First, जो doctrine था इनका. Second doctrine is personal responsibility. Third is what? Every individual have their worth. And fourth is what?
Understanding and personal growth.
Yeah, understanding and personal growth. These are four major doctrines of humanistic psychology. So, suppose I ask the question, mention the fundamental doctrines of humanistic psychology. So, what you will mention? These, which is these doctrine which is given at there, you should mention there. Getting?
Yes, can we make it a little bit lengthy?
Yeah, you can make it by giving example. By giving example, by giving some explanations, by some analysis, you can develop a lot.
जैसे इससे the person responsibility of their actions, तो ये CCT वाली जो therapy
सब करेगा. Everything is entire doctrine of entire theories of humanism based on these doctrines. So next thing, what is given in notes, because we are detailing about humanism. We have already completed one class of humanism. So here is the next thing is Roger's work. So fix the heading as I mentioned, Roger's. So here is given some basics of Roger's. I think that is not important for UPSC, and only you can read it. And if there is mentions any important points, you can use that point in your answer. Otherwise, no importance of it.
Hornby doctorate क्या होता है?
Yeah.
1968 Hornby doctorate.
1968 Honorary doctorates. Doctorates means honored. Honored means he become a doctors. Doctors, like he has completed his PhD works. Right? Honorary doctorates means doctorate. He received the doctorate or he become PhD in his subject. Another important works. What are the basic assumptions of Roger's theory? This is very important. And note down, even it is given, so I will not dictate for the writings. Only I will read it, and remaining you should underline, and you should note whatever is new for you. So what are the basics assumptions of Roger's theory? As we have discussed a few points of Roger's in the class, that first point of Roger's, क्या discuss किया था इसमें? Rogers has explained two types of needs. Which type of, Ajit? maintenance needs and enhancement needs. Later, Roger has also explained two types of self. One is ideal self, other is real self. And the works is what? Phenomenology. Works has been also done by them. Other works is what? CCT therapy, client-centered therapy, mainly develops and promoted by him. And there is some other concept like positive regards, right? Positive regards, yeah, that is called unconditional positive regard. जैसे बारे में अच्छा सोचता हूँ, चाहे आप मेरे बारे में कुछ भी सोचते हो, तो ये क्या है? पॉजिटिव रिगार्ड्स। हाँ, गुड मेमोरीज ऑफ द पीपल। कोई भी हो उसके बारे में अच्छा सोचो ना, क्या जा रहा वो, if he is a criminal, if he is doing crime, he is culprit, he is doing any type of action, that is not our syllabus. Of course you must have good memory of anyone. अच्छे, you should think good. कोई भी चोरी कर लिया, very good, very good. What, this is your responsibility, you have done. Because every action have worth. Right? Under this, what are the basic assumptions of Rogers? We are going in detail of the Rogers. So Rogers के जो basic work पढ़े हैं, what we have studied in the basic works of Rogers. Instead of that, the details of this is sufficient for the UPSC. What was the works of Rogers? Basic assumption you will see on the notes. Point number 1: every organism lives in a consistently varying domains of understanding of once they themselves are focal points. Very interesting thing. What they want to say, every organism lives in consistently varying domains of understanding. हम कितनी तरह की चीजें समझ रहे होते हैं. We are receiving lot of things from our external sources. And what is focal point of them? Us. That is self. Indirectly they are talking about self. जो कुछ भी हमारे साथ हो रही है, उसके पीछे हम only the things are responsible, that is self. It is mentioned they themselves are the focal point, means they are talking about self. Self की बातें कर रहा है. Second point, being response.
Constantly very wrongly.
मतलब ये हुआ कि जो कुछ भी आपके साथ हो रहा है, आप जो भी कुछ रिस्पॉन्स कर रहे हैं, उसके पीछे कहीं ना कहीं आपका एक सेल्फ बहुत बड़ी चीज होती है. There I am telling you very small experiments. The experiment was based on life of an individual. Right? Experiment में ये था कि there was some psychologists, they were arguing that human being loves, or any organisms loves mostly to their kids. As if we compare any organism with their life, तो वो अपने बच्चे से सबसे ज्यादा प्यार करता है, चाहे वो अपने जीवन से ही क्यों ना हो. So there was some psychologists, they were doing research, और research उनका बहुत simple था. So they finally reached at the conclusion, monkey loves their kids the most. सबसे ज्यादा monkey अपने बच्चे को प्यार करता है. Resulted that उन्होंने इसके ऊपर एक्सपेरिमेंट करना शुरू किया. They dig a small well and put the monkey inside of it, and they start pouring water inside the well, or filling the water inside of that. तो monkey पानी के अंदर कुएं में खड़ा हुआ है, और वो water level is continuously increasing. तो वो अपने बच्चे को अपनी गोदी में ले लिया. As water increase above of it, तो उसने अपने बच्चे को हाथ में उठा लिया. Again he picked up, और फिर वो पानी का लेवल बढ़ाते जा रहे हैं. Finally, when the water level goes above the nose, right, then there is no chance for the life. So then monkey has realized that अगर मैं ही नहीं बचा, so what is the importance of this kid's life? तो उसने तुरंत अपने बच्चे को put inside the leg and stand up on that. So psychologists concluded that the most lovable things of anyone's life is self. सबसे ज्यादा एक इंसान अपनी जिंदगी में जिससे प्यार करता है self. So all the domain which is present is जहां कुछ भी आपके साथ प्रेजेंट है ना, उस सब में जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट रोल प्ले करता है दैट इज सेल्फ. Self is playing very important role because it is your focal of your life. एक मैरिज पार्टी में गए दिव्यांशी प्रियांशी, वहां पर भी आपको इंपॉर्टेंस चाहिए. कहीं पर बैठे क्लास में, वहां पर भी आपको इंपॉर्टेंस चाहिए. It is mentioned that every organism lives in consistently varying domains of understanding of the ones they themselves are the focal point. Second, being respond to the arena as it is felt as well as observed. This perceptual ground is actuality for them. So what is the meaning of it, Palak? Didn't get? Repeat it. Being response to the arena as it felt as it will observe. So that कहते हैं कि जो तुम महसूस कर रहे हो, जैसे तुम हो, as you are from inside, according to that you will respond. Getting us? As you are from inside, on the basis of that you will respond toward any situation. So some philosopher, some person says, if you are good from inside, so you will perceive good from good everyone. But if you are bad, so perceive everything, सब कुछ उसी तरह से देखोगे. समझ में आया? मतलब अंदर से आप जैसे होते हो ना, वही चीजें आप बाहर से देखते हो. Like if you are simple, if you trust, अंदर से लगता मैं चोरी नहीं करता, तो maybe you also trust to other, so you will trust to others and definitely हाँ ठीक है. If you are self disciplined from inside, you will self discipline होगा. If you are self honest by inside, आपको भी लगेगा that people are like that. Getting? तो समझ में ऐसे जैसे आप अंदर से होते हो, वैसे ही आप बाहर की दुनिया को देखना. So that best life can be dictated by the most loyal person. The person who lies most, he can easily identify the liveness of others. समझ में? जो व्यक्ति सबसे ज्यादा झूठा होता है, वही झूठ बहुत तेज बोलता है.
This perceptual ground is actuality for them. जो जैसा है वैसा ही दूसरों को समझेगा, और वैसे जैसा वो सोचता है वैसे दूसरे भी ऐसे सोचेंगे.
Third is there. The individual acts as a structured being in this field. Individual acts as a structured being. Means whatever we are doing, there is not only involvement of our conscious desire, even inside of any action or doing behind any action, there is our conscious, unconscious, subconscious, everything is involved. Because they mention that individual acts as a structured being of in this thing. हम जो कुछ भी कर रहे हैं एक संगठित तरीके से कर रहे हैं. Very hard assumptions are there. Even other junctions are there. As a consequence of relationship of individuals by her surrounding and principally as outcomes of the evaluating this interaction one's rule. Getting? So means whatever the individual's principle and their surrounding. Like in my surrounding there is a glacier and my principle toward the glacier is what? To save the glacier. So I will work toward the saving of glacier. But if in nearby us there is a lot of resources and my purpose is to consume the resources, definitely we will consume all the resources. तो मीन्स जो हमारे प्रिंसिपल होते हैं, हमारी सराउंडिंग होती है, उसी से हमारे रिस्पॉन्स प्रोड्यूस होते हैं. Like earlier, the people, earlier not current even, the people who are residing in the nearby the oceans, they will definitely consume what? Seafood. The person who is living in कहाँ पर? Maharashtra, they will eat what? Fish. खाते ना महाराष्ट्र. Bombay, definitely. Next is fifth point. According to him, gradually. वो हमारे सराउंडिंग में जो रिसोर्सेस होते हैं
उसके हिसाब से हमारा
बिहेवियर प्रोड्यूस होता है. According to him, gradually a part of a complete arena of perception field slowly can be set apart from the self. Right? Very interesting thing. According to him, gradually part of complete arena. A complete arena of perceptual field slowly becomes set apart from the self. So earlier our focus is self, but as our experience will increase, so we may give this importance to other. हम दूसरे को भी importance देते हैं जैसे जैसे समय हमारा बीतता है, because we become mature. Example, if you will take the small kid, so पहले लगता है कि मुझे खाना है सारी चीजें, so he will hold all things by himself या खुद अपने पास रखना पसंद करता है, लेकिन बाद में वही चीजें दूसरों से शेयर भी करना पसंद करता है क्योंकि उसका पहले सेल्फ बहुत स्ट्रांग होता है, बट लेटर वो धीरे धीरे चेंज होने लगता है. Next, usually behaviors which can be embarrassed are such which are consistent with the notion of self of an individuals. कौन सी चीजें आपको ज्यादा embarrass करती हैं? जो आपको खुद ही बुरी लगती है. Suppose you are not punctual with your studies and you are watching it that I am consistently not punctual in my studies, so definitely that will not provide you good feeling to you. वो आपको खुद ही feeling अच्छी नहीं देगी. Resulted that, what will happen then? That will create definitely certain type of incongruency in you. The next thing is individuals. One can comprehend behaviors in a better manner through the inner structures of positions of the person. इसको explain करने की जरूरत नहीं है. कितना अच्छा लाइन है. One can comprehend in a better manner through the inner structures of positions of the person. Have you seen 3 Idiots movie? What is saying? All is well. Whatever is your desire want, whatever is your body self, it means जो आपका दिल कहता है वो करो. Whatever is your dil is saying, whatever is your mind is saying, you should do that. यहाँ लिखा ना that one can comprehend behaviors in better manner. अगर आप अपनी बिहेवियर को अच्छा बनाना चाहते हो तो जो आपका अंदर से इनर एज saying that you should do that, उसको करो. आपका इनर एज कुछ अच्छा कह रहा कर लो, जबरदस्ती क्यों प्रेशर में हो. Next is the individual devised and elementary inclinations that is endeavoring to actualizing, sustaining in addition to enrich the feeling of the people. One of the interesting principle. और क्या मीनिंग होगा इसका? पूरी मास्लो इसी पे तो बेस्ड है. Entire Maslow's principle is based on these words: individual devised and elementary inclinations. Inclinations means we are moving upside step by steps. We are moving toward upper sides. We are moving toward the positive direction. We are inclining toward upside step by steps.
फीलिंग कैसे हुआ? And this is the feeling of the people.
Yeah.
ये तो मान सकते हैं कि enhancement of their thinking, their mind, their memory. तो feeling इसका भी enrichment होता है.
हाँ. Feeling का enrichment नहीं होता. If your knowledge will increase toward any object, your feeling will change. होता है. Right. Behavior is mainly directed toward certain objectives, and they makes an effort to fulfill its requirements and knowledgeable in domain as they observe it. Again, our behavior is directed towards certain objectives. Our behavior is directed toward certain objectives, and that objectives, what are their objectives? To fulfill something. To fulfill something, whatever is in his knowledge and whatever is in his requirement, हमारा बिहेवियर उसी डायरेक्शन में जाता है जो हमारे बिहेवियर्स को कमांड दिया गया है. Suppose somebody says UPSC is good. Somebody has informed you UPSC is good, and your behavior is working toward the achieving the good UPSC. So what type of knowledge has been served by others to you that is a major source of your behavior? But you want to achieve all these things in your own style, in your own way. आप अपने तरीके से इसको पाना चाहते हैं. And feeling complements and in common enables such objective focus, the types of feeling being associated to the seemingly vital for the behaviors for the looking after as well as improvements of the individuals. So feeling complements and common enables such object focus on behaviors. So I hope you should read it, right? You should read it once, twice and thrice, then automatically all these will comes in your minds. Right? Right now, read yourself, right? Right now, we need to discuss the main features of Carl Rogers' theory. So what are the main features of Carl Rogers' theory that made Features of Coleridge's theories are basically he discussed about self. As I mentioned, self. Another concept is self-actualizing tendencies. Other concept is organic value processes. Other concept is positive regards, self-regard. I think we discussed all conditions of regards, unconditional positive regards, incongruency, and fully functional and individuals. So few of them we have already discussed, like what is positive regards? We have already discussed positive self-regards. So positive self-regard means you should must have a good understanding toward ourselves, because every organism have worth. So you must have means you have a lot of worth. Next is that unconditional positive regards, incongruency. These things we have discussed. Here we need to discuss two things, that fully functional individuals, so that we will go in detail. Like self worth क्या है सब मैंने mention किया, you can well understand. Self worth or self esteem, as I mentioned right there. हाँ. Here is self image and ideal self.
So can you repeat the organismic valuing process?
Organic values means every organism has their worth, and that worth is basically we always regard them positive, because we have discussed that every organism have worth, and worth is actually not decided by their works. That person may do any destructive works or constructive works. Worth is not set by there, as I mentioned in the fundamental principles of the humanism. And next is here congruency and incongruency. Here is given one of the interesting diagram, as you note as you are watching. Here is self-image. Self-image means real self. Note down in other words. Self-image is equal to real self. Real self. Another is ideal self. So whenever the gaps between ideal self, suppose this is real self, other is here is ideal self. If the gap between ideal self and real self is less, so the person will incongruence. If the gap between ideal and real is less, no, high. If the person's real self ideal self gap is high, then the person have basically incongruency. So इसमें incongruency produce हो जाए. And if ideal self and real self, it is real self and there is ideal self. सही बना. This diagram is correct. ये देखना होता है. This means जितना ज्यादा your ideal self और real self interaction करेंगे, उतना ज्यादा congruence होते जाएंगे. Getting? What is ideal self? Like your ideal self is to become IAS officer. Your ideal self means what goal we have set in our mind. And real self is what performance we are doing.
Ideal self stands for visualizations of the goal.
Visualizations of goal. And real self means what action we are performing. What actions and initiative we are doing or taking. the goals and action have a huge gap, if in between of goals and action there is a huge gap, then person will become incongruent. Get it? That is, the person will become incongruent. And if the person goals and actions have less gap, then person will become congruence.
So when can someone say that he is congruent?
Whenever you will achieve your goal, whatever you have set, whatever ideals you have set in your mind, if you will achieve that, तो आपको कैसा लगता है? वाह, जो मैंने सोचा था वो कर लिया. I have done whatever I have think. तो वो क्या होगा फिर? हमारे जो incongruence, and what are the major source of behavior? Incongruency. Why incongruency? is that क्यों इंसान जब incongruency में होगा तो भागेगा. He will work for, he will run for the works. वो काम के लिए इधर-उधर भाग रहा है. So incongruency creates major source of behavior.
Congruency is the major source of psychopathy.
Congruency will provide you satisfaction, happiness and joy.
मेरा सोच नहीं हो सकता
इनकॉन्ग्रुएंसी बिहेवियर कैसा, मतलब काम के लिए भागेगा बिहेवियर चेंज होगा ऐसा?
देखो, जैसे मान लो आपने सोचा कि मुझे एक आम खाना है और आपके पास आम की प्राइस कितनी है? 10 रुपए, लेकिन आपकी जेब में कितने हैं? 1 रुपीस. तो आपको कहां तक पहुंचना भी? 9 रुपीस और मिल जाएंगे तो फिर क्या मिल जाएगा आपका? आम क्या है आपका? आइडियल सेल्फ. मुझे आम खाना है. और रियल सेल्फ क्या है आपका? 1 रुपए पॉकेट में. So to reaching the goal of the arm or the ideal self, you will work. आप 9 रुपए कमाओगे तो चोरी करोगे, कुछ भी करोगे. क्यों करोगे आप? Because
this is the source of behavior.
yeah,
9 रुपए कैसे
कमाएगा? That is the source of behavior.
साइकोपैथोलॉजी का मतलब क्या होता है?
और यहीं पर sometime the person, if means entire psychology is basically created by this. Why entire psychology is created by this? Because incongruency will create also stress and anxiety. While you are incongruous, that creates also, यार मैंने सोचा ये था लेकिन मैं यहाँ पर हूँ, क्या करूँ? What I do? How I achieve my goal? So these are the source of even frustrations.
So can ideal self change?
Yeah, definitely you can change.
How do we know the best version of ideal self?
How?
The best version of ideal self. How do we know?
How do we know best
Best version of ideal self.
best version of ideal self? The best version of ideal self you can understand by what is your requirement of yourself. Desire. What is your desire of self? What is your desire? Like my desire is purchasing a BMW. Someone desire is purchasing a scooter. So that whatever their desires, that is their ideal self.
So identifying this is the organismic valuing process. Identifying the ideal self is the organismic valuing process.
Yeah.
जब हम जिसको वैल्यू देना चाहते हैं,
हाँ,
तो बोलते हैं
वही हमारा
ideal self.
other is
आपको पता है साइकोपैथोलॉजी का मतलब क्या है?
psychopathology means lot of psychological disorders. Like lot of psychological disorders, like lot of psychological disease. Do you want to know the category of psychopathological disorders? थोड़ा सा introduce कर लो. Note down name of some psychopathological disorders. name of some psychopathological disorders. Like number 1, anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders. You will just note only few lines. Like there are the 5 major types of anxiety disorders. 5 major types of anxiety disorders. Like GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. SAD. Third is separation anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders. Panic attack. Panic attack. Phobias. Panic attack.
Is the anxiety disorder?
Panic is anxiety.
Phobia.
Phobia also. It is given in NCERT class 12 chapter number 4. तो इस नीचे लिखा हुआ इतना याद है.
डिप्रेशन जो होता है उसमें आता है एंजाइटी.
Mood disorder. It is not anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorders, that is mainly related to daily life essence. Other is, note down one more, some other type of disorders. Some other. Fifth category, some other type of disorder.
So there's a trauma.
Trauma, PTSD, and so many. PTSD, have you heard about this? Post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Right now,
ADHD.
it is mood, it is neurodegenerative disorders. Agla second category, mood-related disorder. We have 2 moods. You know how many types of mood? We have 2 moods. One is happy. Other is what? Sad. So we have 2 moods. Sometimes we are very much happy, elations. Right? Sometimes we are very much happy. And sometimes we are very much sad. We are in the depression. So when we are very much sad, that is the conditions of depression. So there is a lot of disorders in between them, like dysthymia. Dysthymia. Sadness.
What is that?
Dysthymia means whenever a person feeling little bit depressed.
Depression was starting stages.
Dysthymia. Cyclosthenia. Serious sexual disorder. Cyclosthenia. 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 Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder means sometimes anyone who is very happy. Very happy को क्या बोलते हैं ना? That person बहुत ज़्यादा happy. उसमें कुछ और word बोलते हैं psychology में. Mania. Mania में the person will very much happy. Very much happy. So he can even fly the nose. But sometimes we become very देखा नहीं कुछ लोग होते हैं कभी बड़े खुश. Very. So it is a mood disorder. This is a mood disorder. Ready?
सर मतलब खुश होना भी डिसऑर्डर है.
बहुत ज्यादा. और क्या?
It's good to be happy.
मीनिया में मत चले जाओ बेवजह. सारे लोग दुखी हैं, घर में रो रहे हैं और आप हंस रहे. दिस इज केस ऑफ मीनिया. भी हंसते रहते और इतना तेज हंसते पड़ोसी भी उठ भाग के आता. क्या हो गया?
Like some other people death हुई है तो they don't have the feeling of grief.
पागल बोलेंगे.
रोना जरूर कि नहीं हंसते हैं वहाँ पे हंसते हैं. Person is suffering from disorder.
हाँ बेटी क्या करें? Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorders are two types: bipolar 1, bipolar 2. There are the two types of bipolarity.
बाइपोलर क्या होता है?
Bipolar मतलब the person who is sometimes very happy and suddenly he become very sad.
Depression और mania
दोनों खुश भी है. देखा कभी ऐसे पर्सन? देखा बहुत होते हैं. सड़क पे घूम रहे होते हैं.
कभी अचानक होने लग जाते हैं, कभी हंसने लगते हैं. तो डिसऑर्डर होते हैं, ये सही नहीं होते, मेंटली सही नहीं होते.
Another is like next is eating disorder.
Two types of bipolar disorder. सर ये आप किसके करवा रहे हो?
ऐसे नाम बता दे रहा हूँ एटलीस्ट.
वो तो सर आपके disorder.
बता दूंगा एक्चुअली थोड़ा सा समझ रहेगी.
Two types of bipolar disorder sir. But basically there are two types of bipolar disorder.
Yeah, there are the two types of bipolar disorders. Just ये थोड़ा सा मैं इंट्रोड्यूस कर दे रहा हूँ कि जब आप साइकोपैथोलॉजी पढ़ेंगे बहुत मजा आएगा कि कैसे कैसे लोग होते हैं जो सड़क पे घूम रहे हो. Eating disorders means there is 4-5 types of eating disorders. 4 types maybe. First is anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa. When person eat a lot but vomit after. नहीं तो person avoid to eat. Avoid eating. Zero fear. Means they avoid to eat. And another is bulimia nervosa. Bulimia nervosa means they eat a lot and then vomit.
They eat and they vomit. Yes.
Bulimia nervosa means they eat and then they vomit. हाँ bulimia, B-L-U-M-I, bulimia. Another is binge eating. Binge eating.
Extra खाते हैं.
So binge eating is what? Overeating. Other is pica. Pica means the person eats the things which is harmful for them. Pica. Pica. वो चीजें भी खाते जो उनके लिए unfit हो. Like Sasi, you have seen some people eat chalks. Even so that is very good.
मुझे harmful से लगा आप जंक की बात कर रहे हैं.
Junk foods is also. Even chewing gum is also. Some people eat chewing gum. Chewing gum is not edible things. Some people eat also certain types of pots. Tea pots, मिट्टी के बने हुए, all that चबा जाते. Like and one of the interesting thing, I'm telling you when it is going record. One day I have seen it was eaten by my wife. She was eating chops और वो किचन में रखा गलती से मैं पहुंच गया वहां पर। मैंने कहा चॉप मेरे घर में इतना छोटा बच्चा तो है कोई चॉप बोले नहीं वो टूटू के लिए रखा हुआ है। So I called to my mother-in-law at that time. Immediately I said this is one of the bad habits. So because few things of human behavior cannot control by ourselves because especially wife.
But sir, ये वो deficiency
This is regarding efficiency.
deficiency का था।
Due to the deficiency, due to the
कैल्शियम की डेफिशिएंसी होती है ना सर, तो उन्हें उन चीजों में टेस्ट आता है
sir,
खाने में।
सर उसमें उस बंदे में deficiency होती है।
I don't know. Other is next is somatic disorder. Somatic disorder. Somatic means somatic means the disorders which is related to our body. Somatic.
Soma means body.
Somatic disorders. The disorders related to our body.
Example?
Yeah, very simple. Somatic disorders में one of the disease अभी इसका नाम change हो गया. That is hypochondrosis. 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 Chondrosis. What is hypochondrosis? It means when person do not have any disease inside of the body, but he is perceiving inside of the body there is any big disease or he is suffering from something कोई बड़ी problems.
Decomplaining bodily problems वैसे होती नहीं है।
सर मतलब जब इंसान के अंदर डिसीज नहीं होती लेकिन
हाँ, hypochondrosis means when person do not have any disease, but it feel that means that they complain that I am suffering from a disease. Like sometimes this they goes to doctor, sir, there is a pain. Doctor, okay. No, sir, there is a pain. Okay, no, sir, no, there is a pain. Actually, they are not able to identify their pain also.
छोटे बच्चों में और बूढ़े लोगों को पता है। स्कूल से छुटकारा पाने के लिए बोलते हैं।
So this is a problem. Other is conversion.
सर इसका इलाज क्या है?
Yeah. So conversion is there. Other is conversion. What is here? Conversion.
ये भी
It's somatic disorders. Conversion. Conversion means that suffering from loss of motor or sensory activities. Means sometimes people feel that the sensation of the particular body goes.
सिर्फ conversion तो personality disorder है।
नहीं conversion, वो conversion अलग है. Conversive disorder.
from loss of
Motor or sensory activities of any part of the body. कभी-कभी होता है कि यहाँ का कुछ सेंसेशन गायब हो गया, 50% फेस का सेंसेशन गायब लाइक है.
रियल में होता है कि
परसीव होता है. रियल में नहीं होता.
ये disorder है इसमें कुछ भी होता नहीं है। They feel and they say ये
Next is that is disassociative disorder. Next category. Disassociative disorder. थोड़ा नाम बता दूं मैं आपको. Disassociative disorders, very interesting disorders. Very interesting. Disassociative disorder. Like disassociative amnesia. Suddenly person बोल कुछ और रहा होता तब तक कुछ और बोलने लगे. Sudden change of speech.
क्या एग्जांपल दिया आपने?
Associative amnesia. Amnesia is here.
बोलना कुछ और था बोल कुछ और था।
हाँ. Suddenly forget the things. इसको लिखना चाहोगे exactly. Person is unable to recall. Parapraxis means that is errors during the time of speech. That is not memory loss.
Person is
Unable to recall important personal information related to anything. So that is basically disassociative amnesia.
related to anything.
कुछ भी. और another is a depersonalization. Next is depersonalization. ये सब कठिन कठिन चीजें अभी पढ़ रहे हो जाल, इसके बाद फिर नहीं आएगा ऐसा. डीप ये सब जितना भी अभी बस इसे ये टफ है, फिर सारी चीजें इजी थी. यूनिट 1 में जितना टफ में होता सब बता देगा सारी चीजें, बिकॉज सेम थिंग आपको फिर से पढ़ना पड़ेगा. What I am telling you that things will repeat you in the unit 2 of paper 2. So depersonalizations, very interesting. Depersonalization, very interesting disorder. I will tell you the story of it. The person experience change in personal sense of reality. Person experience a change in personal sense of reality.
Sense of
Reality and perception of self. Means what is perception of self? He forgets suddenly. गायब, चेंज हो जाता है. मैं कौन हूँ, कहाँ से आया हूँ. The question like that. The question like that. मैं कहाँ पर यहीं पर था. So suddenly they forget. वो amnesia का था. That was retrograde amnesia.
Multiple personality disorder type.
No. Multiple personality. I'm not talking. Personality का तो नाम ही नहीं है. फिर disassociation means suddenly disconnect from any situation. Suddenly disconnect हो गया. अब मैं बोल रहा हूँ अचानक, अच्छा मैं कहाँ पर था, क्या बोला. The situation is disassociative.
सर ये तो फिर थोड़ा थोड़ा सब में रहता है.
So lot of disorders are present in lot of people's, and while you are reading psychopathology, don't apply yourself. हाँ, ये साफ इंस्ट्रक्शन होता है. नहीं तो आधा से ज्यादा most of the psychological disorders felt in ourselves. If you will apply all the psychological disorders in us, ज्यादातर दिक्कत.
सोमैटिक का तो वही है ना, हाइपोकॉन्ड्रिया का कन्वर्जन.
मैं सर को रियलिटी के ऊपर सोच रहा है.
Next is dissociative identity disorder. Dissociative, right है, very
सर ये सब सोमैटिक में नहीं आ रहा है.
ये dissociative में 3 बताए. Dissociative amnesia, depersonalization and dissociative identity. In this there was a man, actually one day he went for a vegetable purchase in the evening time. वो भूल गया अपने आप. Suddenly he forget everything and he went to settle somewhere else. And उसकी मैरिज हुई थी, पहले भी बच्चे थे, सब कुछ अचानक सब भूल गया. डिसएसोसिएट हो गया. और दूसरी जगह गया, वहां भी मैरिज कर लिया और वहां पर भी बच्चे उसको हुए. और बट बाय द मिस्टेक एक दिन वो उस वहीं पर आ गया जहां पर सब्जी लिया हुआ. फिर उसको पुरानी मेमोरी फिर से आ रहा.
सर तो मतलब वहां गया तो सर वहां जाके तो जैसे छोट लेके गया.
No, that's environmental similarity.
सर मेरे हिसाब से ना लेफ्ट राइट सर किधर सब्जी वाला है.
It's a very famous study. बहुत famous study है psychology. Next is
ये आइडेंटिटी जब चेंज हो जाएगी.
identity. Suddenly identity missed. Suddenly he missed their identity. Suddenly everything vanished. Forget. कुछ भी. and he's feeling you man.
एक बात होना चाहिए
तेरे को नहीं होना चाहिए सर को
for the freshness of the mind.
तेरे को नहीं होना चाहिए तो सर को बैठा दे सर आप बैठो अच्छा बता रहे
Next is other is a schizophrenia.
इसी के अंदर
No, no. Next disorder. Schizophrenia. You know that schizophrenia. What is it?
ये अलग disorder है इसमें आएगा.
Separate. Schizophrenia is a disorder which is called normally pagal, mad, mental, and it is very common word in India. Even in a very small conversation with someone as a pagal. But psychologically it is a big problem. Other is personality disorders. Next disorder. There are the 11 type of personality disorders. I will elaborate it later. Right now, not. Like bipolar disorder, schizotypal, schizoid, and multiple personality disorders, histrionic personality disorder. 11 type of them. 11 types of personality disorders. Then substance abuse. Substance is abuse, you know that? जो लोग जय महाराष्ट्र
जो लोग जय महाराष्ट्र
Who abuses that?
Rocky Bhai thoughts? Which movie?
KGF
KGF. So that he have the person who consumes certain substances such as alcohol, such as any inhalant. We have a different types of substances.
सर चाय में आप सबसे
हाँ, that is nicotine category.
चाय
थोड़ा सा इसको लिख लो. Substance abuse is very common and very popular, very important. So that you must write it.
Autism है वो भी है autism is also there.
That is that is separate type of disorders. We will deal that.
बहुत सारे हैं
कुछ थोड़े से नाम बता देना जिससे कि आपके दिमाग की बत्ती जले. Mint. Mint क्या आता था? In the end of mint.
मेंटोस दिमाग प्रति जला सर वो आर्ट को मैं फॉलो करते करते 9th क्लास की एग्जाम में मेंटोस खाने लगा जब भी कोई सॉल्यूशन आंसर नहीं आता था मेंटोस खाता था.
So there are the basically several types of substance related disorder. Number 1, alcohol.
आगे आंसर
Number 1, alcohol.
तो कितने टाइप्स के बताया आपने
Several types. Alcohol is one of the disorder. Stimulants like cocaine is a part of stimulant. Stimulant जानते हो बेटे? Stimulant जो स्टिमुलेट करते हो, उत्तेजित करते हो. कोकीन पीजिए और पूरे दिन मस्त है.
ओके आगे सर क्या ये ऑर्डर स्टेट्स ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस पे लेके जाएगा
Stimulants.
अरे ऐसी चीजें तो होती है.
So other is caffeines. Other category, caffeines category.
क्या होता है?
Caffeine categories like tea, coffee, chocolates. All these are caffeine category.
एनर्जी ड्रिंक्स
All these are caffeine category. Cannabis what? Cannabis. Cannabis is there. Cannabis means that is like marijuana
weed
and bhangs.
weed
Cannabis. Hallucinogens.
सर ड्रग्स पे आ जाएंगे.
सर ऊपर नहीं आता नहीं
Huh? That is inhalant आ गया. Hallucinogens like LSD. LSD is under the
हेलो
LSD. Hallucinogens. HALLUCINOGENS.
डबल एल
HALL
यू
CINOGENS. Hallucinogens. LSD and many moods are given. Like inhalants, inhalants मतलब हाँ inhale कर जाते थे, thinner सूंघ जाते हो उसको. Some people inhales thinners, gasoline, glue, etc. वो नाक से जो खींचते हैं ना, नाक से तो बहुत सारी चीजें. I don't know. Tobaccos, cigarette and BDs are tobaccos. Opiates, tobaccos के बाद opiates, opiates. Opiates under the category of like morphine. Some people takes morphine, heroin, and cough syrup. Other is sedative disorder. Sedatives भी होते हैं. Other category of sedatives, SEDATIVES. 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 Sedatives are like sleep pills. Other is any anxiety कुछ something or sleep pills you know that कुछ लोग सोने के लिए sleep pills खाते हैं for the sleeping. Painkillers also in that sedatives में होता है. So these are the basic category of
करते तो सब इंडिविजुअल होंगे, कुछ जैसे सेड प्रोवाइड पेन हो रहा है हेडेक में तो फिर वो मिलते हैं, लेकिन जो ओवर लेवल डिसऑर्डर्स होता है
substance related.
So OCD
OCD is mood disorders. It is a part of mood.
सर स्टिमुलेंट टाइप पर एग्जांपल देना, जो कि आपको इलेक्ट्रिक नहीं को कोई एग्जांपल.
Yeah.
स्टिमुलेंट का एग्जांपल.
Stimulant का cooking नहीं, cooking.
ओके हाँ
Next and next is sexual disorder. It have also several types like fetishisms, sexual disorders. Lot of type of sexual disorders are there. Male have separate, female have separate. Like biolism, fetishism. See?
सर ये लिखने जो आपने एक नाम किया
Biolism, fetishism, what it? क्या होता है?
पीठ से जो हाथ की पीठ
क्या होता है?
पीठ हाथ को जो पीठ
स्वाति बताओ fetishism. Some किसी को नहीं पता. These simple words अंग प्रदर्शन करना. Fetishism is the parts of body shown by someone else, which is actually our private parts. But they try to वो उसको कपड़े जैसे माला पहना और दिखाई दिया या पैंट की जिप खोल दिया एक दिखाई दिया कुछ. Even mostly done by female communities. Fetishism, it is called अंग प्रदर्शन. Right? So fetishisms. तो even different types of disorders. इसमें बहुत सारे. And very common things are there. Like one is there is the persons who makes the sexual relation with animals, zoophilia, like dogs and any other animals. So that zoophilia, pedophilia. Yeah. There was a case that is well, very popular, Asaram. The opposition lawyer of Asaram has represented The evidence against of Asaram is that basically pedophilia reports. Pedophilia means that the person who want to sex with childs, जो बच्चों के साथ सेक्सुअल बिहेवियर करते हैं, वो लोग pedophilia के पेशेंट माने जाते हैं। बहुत खूबसूरत, अगर आप साइकोलॉजी समझेंगे गजब गजब के पॉइंट्स।
सर जो इनका जो इलाज होता है वो थेरेपी से होता है या फिर कोई मेडिकल प्रोसीजर?
थेरेपी से आते हैं, मेडिसिन से जी, निम्फोमेनिया भी आएगा। ये तो अदर इज क्या चीज?
निम्फोमेनिया
बताओ।
गूगल कर लेना।
निम्फोमेनिया।
हाँ, अनदर इज बहुत सारे, अगर आप सुनना चाहो तो मैं तो पूरा नोट्स खोल के we have a paper 2, there is a HIV issues. Paper 2 there is HIV, so we may deal that lot of sexual disorders are there. पुरुष में भी ऐसे बहुत सारे disorders हैं, मेल में भी lot of disorders are there. And जैसे एक faster ejaculations are there. Quick ejaculations in the male and female. Syphilis are there. Erectile disorders are there. Lot of disorders are there. Erectile.
न्यू है जैसे हम लोग कैटेगरीज में पढ़ते हैं वहाँ तो इसमें
वहाँ नहीं पढ़ाया जाता। I am expert of that. So that I know. हाँ. Right. Next is
dyslexia or dysgraphia.
This is learning disorder. Next category, learning disorders. Learning disorders. सब सीख जाओगे बेटे धीरे धीरे। फर्स्ट टाइम सीख रहे, सीख लिया फिर सब धीरे धीरे सीख जाओ। थोड़ा सा है और आते ही हो। So what is here? Learning disorders like dyslexia, dysgraphia, dysgraphia, जिसको लर्निंग की प्रॉब्लम हो तो इसको डिसलेक्सिया कहा जाता है। कितने खूबसूरत टॉपिक है इसे आप देखो। डिसग्राफिया मींस राइटिंग डिसऑर्डर, ग्राफ राइटिंग करना, जिसको लिखना ठीक से ना उसको डिसग्राफिया कहा जाता है। डिसकैलकुलिया, जिसको मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशन ना हो, डिसकैलकुलिया, that is stammering, language disorders. Other is that is something neurodegenerative disorders. एक और लिख लो और कैटेगरी, neurodegenerative disorders are also. This is the last category. Neurodegenerative disorders, degenerative disorders. So what is neurodegenerative disorders? Means that the disorders which is arises due to the degenerations of neurons, like Parkinson disease. Have you heard about it? Parkinson disease के नाम सुने बेटे कभी? हाँ, कभी इजहार देखा किसी का हाथ ऐसे दोनों हिलता हो, पूरी बॉडी ऐसे हिलती है, वो हाँ बूढ़े एज में ना, तो उसी को कहा जाता है पार्किंसन डिजीज। कभी देखा कि नहीं देखा? पूरी बॉडी हिलती रहती है। Because degenerations of neurons, their neural cells going to decrease inside of the body. So it has actually no treatment. कोई ट्रीटमेंट
क्योंकि वो एनवायरमेंटली हो रहा है ना सर
जी।
So actually it is a disease. Disorder is a disease है।
हाँ, other is after this there is other inosis. Have you heard about it? Enosis.
और सर जो सडन मोमेंट में कभी कभी हाथ शिवर करने लग जाते हैं वो तो नहीं होगा।
वो नहीं, कन्वर्जेंस की वजह से वगैरह। That's enosis. Enosis means this is mainly in child. वो बच्चे अपने पैंट में ही यूरिन कर देते हैं even after the age of 5 years 6 years. That is enosis, right? Inside of the class, even on the bed also, जब वो बेड में यूरिन कर दे तो that is enosis. Enosis means when childs do urines on bed or inside of their clothes, so that is enosis even after the age of 5. कभी देखा 5 साल के बाद के भी बच्चे क्या करते हैं, वो बेड में ही सुसु कर देते हैं, सोए सोए उनको ड्रीम में यूरिन होता है। गेटिंग?
इसका तो इलाज होगा,
इसका भी ट्रीटमेंट
इसका है।
एंड देयर इज इनकॉर्पोसिस। कई बच्चे ऐसे भी होते हैं जो यूरिन they do PS 40 कर देना, दिल्ली की भाषा PS is you know what, टॉयलेट्स कर देना कपड़े के अंदर बेड पे ही इवन आफ्टर द एज ऑफ 5-7 years they do use it.
Sir, spelling बोलो।
There is written incorporated.
ये क्या बोल रहा आपने?
Feces.
F-A-C-E-S।
बोलो सर।
F-A-C-E-S।
FECES।
Right? Have you seen this kind of child? Azim, have you seen कि जो बच्चा, even I was teaching in a school, in Christian school, there was a boy, उसको अक्सर होती थी, and our eye of the school was very much angry with him.
सर ये न्यूरो है या फिर
Neurodegenerative. Right, neuron ADHD, ADHD. बस इतनी मुश्किल चीजें, इससे ज्यादा है नहीं। This is the last. ADHD. ADHD means attention deficit.
हाँ ये तो सब फिजिकल है दिखाई
लोगों को समझ नहीं पाते।
अच्छा ये अटेंशन डेफिसिट।
बहुत सारे मीडिया के लोग आपके हॉस्पिटल, आपके ऑफिस में आएंगे, बहुत सारे स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया वाले हैं। स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया मतलब क्या? पागल। सिर्फ ये वर्ड्स दिए जो 4 बार करते करते पार्किंसन,
ये ऐसे लोग आते हैं डॉक्टर
आते हैं ना,
सेल्फ पे आते हैं।
क्या चीज? ज्यादा बूढ़े लोग नहीं होते।
हाँ बूढ़े लोग नहीं, 60 प्लस ही क्या है,
तो हेयर कट करना बहुत दिक्कत,
बहुत
लेडीज में भी रहता है, हेयर कट करना काफी दिक्कत है।
हाँ
क्या चीज?
लगता है पार्किंसन डिजीज। अदर इज
तो सर ये पार्किंसन डिजीज पूरे बॉडी में कहीं भी हो सकती है?
पूरी बॉडी में ही होता है,
बॉडी पे
पूरी बॉडी। हाँ
कमजोरी है।
हाँ। अदर इज कंक्लूडिंग ऑफ दैट, थोड़ा सा कंक्लूड कर लेते हैं। व्हाट अबाउट
सर थोड़ा ADHD बता दो।
attention deficit hyper? Some childs are very naughty in the class. They are very much inattentive in class. Even they talks after every conversation.
एक के बैठ ही सकते हो।
हाँ, जैसे कभी कभी वो किसी से क्लास में बातें करते होते हैं। हाँ, कभी इधर घूमेगा, कभी इधर कुछ करेगा।
इसका थेरेपी कैसे होगा?
जी,
इसका थेरेपी कैसे होगा?
there is a therapies are there, lot of therapies. We will deal that therapies.
इधर मैं इधर
हाँ, थोड़ी सी क्लास में मौका पाते ही वो इधर उधर बातें करने लग जाएगी पीछे।
नहीं करना, पढ़ाई कर लेता हूँ मैं।
So, what about the humanism? And we will conclude the humanism. After understanding of congruency and incongruency, there is a SIT. SIT we will deal. अब इसमें जो additional parts है humanism का, that we will deal in the topic of others. Even there is one of the important concept, self-actualizing. इसको जरूर पढ़ के आना कल टेस्ट के लिए। Self-actualizing.
सर हाँ टेस्ट की बात उनकी है मैम से, तो मैंने ऐसा बोला है कि मैम को सेशन में था, मैम बोल रही थी हाँ ये ठीक है कि हफ्ते में एक दिन तो रखिए हम रिवाइज करके अभी संडे को टेस्ट हो जाएगा, क्योंकि सर आप रेगुलरली पढ़ोगे शाम को फिर उसको रिवीजन बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, उसको बिना क्लासेस का भी होना चाहिए।
रेस्ट करो ना,
तो सैटरडे को रेस्ट ले लेंगे ना सर।
अभी रिलीज कंप्लीट हो गया। So focus. What is self-actualizing? Even this is very important point mentioned in the notes. Characteristics of self-actualized people. As we have discussed a lot yesterday about self-actualizing. Self-actualizing means the persons who evaluates their life. We have discussed in the last class. याद है अजीत? हमने कहा था कि जो व्यक्ति अपने जीवन को ही evaluate करता हो, that is self-actualized people. So what are the characteristics of the self-actualized people? More efficient perception of reality. Their perception is very much real. जो व्यक्ति self-actualized होगा ना, वो इधर-उधर की बातें नहीं करेगा. He will speak whatever is reality. वो फालतू की बातें नहीं. Only he will talk reality. And acceptance of oneself, others, and the natures. और जो self-actualized person will accept even खुद को भी, दूसरा जो बोल रहा है उसको भी, और reality को भी accept करेगा. And spontaneity and simplicity and naturalness. That person जो self-actualized people होगा ना, बहुत simple रहेगा. हाथ में कभी कुछ नहीं पहनना, कोई भी. Dr. Kalam, you can take big example of. Problem centered means these जो self-actualized people will always work toward the problem center. कि किसी problem के ऊपर ही काम करना पसंद. And detached का मतलब इनको किसी चीज से लगाव नहीं. आप पैसा नहीं तो भी चल जाएगा, कोई कार नहीं तो भी चल जाएगा. Some people are very much attached with certain things. ये मेरी पेन है, मेरा पिलो है, मेरा सामान है, like that. So the persons who have who achieve the self-actualizations, the person will very what simple, बहुत simple, and he is detached from all the things. उसके लिए कुछ कोई भी है नहीं है तो भी he will be happy. Like Buddha was self-actualized. He was detached from his family, his son, his wife, and so many more. And there is autonomy. Autonomy means independence of culture and environment. वो ऐसा नहीं कि कल्चर को देख करके फॉलो करेगा. You know some of the Jain संत you have seen, वो they move even clothless because वो self-actualized हो गए. Have you seen Jain संत लोग बिना कपड़े के भी सड़क पे चलते because they are self-actualized. उनके लिए बिना मतलब कपड़ा होना ना होना that is not matter. Matter is that they know the reality. They know the natural beauty. Other is next is continued freshness of perceptions. They always feel fresh and good. Even रात को 10 बजे बाद बोलेंगे तो भी they feel very energized at that time. वो नहीं कि बस मैं थक गया, मेरी fatigue, I will not respond to an answer. And mysticals and peak experience, their experiences are very peak. Right? बहुत अच्छे होते हैं. Profound interpersonal relations. Other is social interest. They are very इस social interest में भी इनको अच्छा लगता है, ठीक है, क्योंकि वो actualized person है. Right? Like Mahatma Buddha have a lot of social interest, so that he works toward the unity of individuals, even society also. Creativeness. These people are creativeness. Self-actualized people have a lot of their creative ideas, their values, and resistance of inculturations. Inculturations means they do not mix with any cultures. Right? Acculturations नहीं होने देते ये लोग. Right? Next is and democratic characteristics structures. Their characters is totally democratic, means they accept the criticisms and respect the opinions of others. Discriminate between means and end. they have very good understanding कि वो हर चीज का रियल मीनिंग और क्या उसका एंड होगा उनको बहुत अच्छा समझ में होता है. Like one of the Prophet Muhammad, I hope you have heard. Prophet Muhammad को परेशान करने के लिए एक बार कुछ लोग गए उनके पास, right? But he was very punctual man. Prophet Muhammad was very punctual. So there was two men, they were very mischievous. You can say that शरारती type के थे. Muhammad के पास गए बोले सर and this was the even the Prophet Muhammad was going for नमाज के लिए जा रहे. Suddenly दो लोग गए और कहते सर can you tell me that who gives the egg and who gives the child? बच्चे कौन देता वो बता सकते हो? मतलब अंडे कौन देते और बच्चे कौन देते? क्योंकि उनके दिमाग में था कि प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद को परेशान करेंगे. सुनाई वाली स्टोरी जरा नहीं. तो प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद से क्वेश्चन पूछा इसीलिए कि अंडे कौन देता और बच्चे कौन देता है? Who gives the birth of child and who gives the egg? बहुत सिंपल आंसर दिया, बिकॉज उनको रोक करके सोच रहे थे कि प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद बहुत एक्सप्लेन करेंगे, बट नथिंग ही हैज एक्सप्लेन. He said in only one line, the animals who have ear, they gives the babies birth of child, and those animals who do not have ears, जिस एनिमल को कान नहीं होते वो अंडे देते हैं, और जिस एनिमल को कान होते हैं वो बच्चे देते हैं. वेरी सिंपल आंसर. इंसान कान होते हैं, काउ, बफेलोस, गोट, बर्ड्स को ईयर होते हैं, एक्सेलेंट, हैंड, एक्सेट्रा. वेरी सिंपल. तो वो होता है कि दे नो दैट, इसी को बोलते हैं सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजमेंट. दे नो दैट व्हाट दे मीन. वो जान रहे थे कि प्रॉफिट मोहम्मद की हमें परेशान करने वाले हैं, और वो एंड क्या होगा कि मुझे अपने डिसिप्लिन से डिरेल करना चाहिए. बट उन्होंने सिंपल सा जवाब दे दिया कि जिसको कान होंगे वो बच्चे देंगे और जिसको कान नहीं होंगे वो बच्चे नहीं देंगे. सिंपल.
So why is it so?
Yeah.
Why is it so?
Why it's so?
Why is it so?
Why this means
Why he said so?
why he said so? Because of he was very genius man. Very genius.
मतलब मेरे कहने का मतलब था कि कान होंगे तो अंडे क्यों नहीं देता? Why is it so?
It's a natural. It's a topic of biology, not a psychology. Right? Other things, if personal growth and maladjustments के phenomenology मैंने बताया था, condition of self worth, fully Roger explained that कि कोई भी काम करो अपनी full potential से करो. You should do any works with your full potential rather than little bit half potential, you can say. पूरी एनर्जी के साथ करो अगर if you want to do any works in your life. So this was the conclusion of humanism. Or next is reading portion are given. Even I have mentioned all the things, CCT and so many. We will deal it later. But एक idea आप यहाँ से पढ़ के लगाइएगा. और चीजें जैसे हम two things are there. One is psychoanalysis. Other we will deal about humanisms. In tomorrow's test, this is the topics. I will repeat this line. Psychoanalysis and humanism. दो topics करें.
So ये SIT is part of humanism.
Yeah, SIT is a part of humanism, but we will not